There is a version of you that everyone knows. The competent one. The reliable one. The one who handles things, solves problems, keeps moving forward. That version has earned respect. It has built structure. It has survived pressure. But there is another version of you that only shows up in silence. The one that questions your direction. The one that feels slightly disconnected, even when everything seems fine. The one that senses that you have outgrown parts of your own life, but have not admitted it yet. Most people ignore that tension. They assume it is temporary. They try to fix it with productivity, new goals, or distraction. But the feeling persists because it is not asking to be fixed. It is asking to be faced. You can upgrade your habits and still feel empty. You can achieve milestones and still feel misaligned. Success without self-awareness becomes performance. And performance, no matter how polished, is exhausting. Self-discovery begins when you stop managing your image and start questioning your identity. Not the identity others see, but the one you experience internally. Who are you when you are not trying to impress, please, or protect yourself? What decisions would you make if fear of judgment disappeared? What parts of your personality are genuine and which were shaped by necessity? This process is uncomfortable because it removes the illusion of certainty. It asks you to admit that some of your current patterns were built from survival, not intention. But awareness is not an attack on who you are. It is an invitation to choose consciously instead of reacting automatically. If something inside you has been feeling restless, this is not random. It is your internal compass recalibrating. And once you begin listening, you will realize that the life you are building must match the person you are becoming, not the one you used to be. Stability feels safe. A predictable routine. Clear responsibilities. Recognizable roles. From the outside, it looks like maturity. But stability can become a trap when it prevents evolution. You may be maintaining a life that once fit you perfectly, but now feels slightly restrictive. Not painful enough to force change, just tight enough to limit growth. The illusion lies in confusing familiarity with alignment. Just because something is stable does not mean it is right for who you are now. You might have chosen your path years ago, under different circumstances, different fears, different priorities, yet you continue walking it because changing direction feels risky. People rarely question stability because it earns approval. Society rewards consistency. It praises commitment. It admires endurance. What it rarely encourages is conscious reassessment. But growth demands reassessment. Without it, you become loyal to a version of yourself that no longer exists. The fear of instability keeps many people stuck. They imagine that questioning their path will create chaos. But the real chaos is internal. It shows up as subtle dissatisfaction, as low-grade anxiety, as the sense that you are constantly managing your life instead of living it. Self-discovery requires separating stability from truth. It asks whether your routines reflect your current values, whether your ambitions still resonate, whether your relationships allow authenticity. These questions are not destructive. They are clarifying. And once clarity appears, you cannot pretend you do not see it. At some point, you became who you were needed to be. Maybe your environment required you to grow up quickly. Maybe it rewarded achievement over emotion. Maybe it valued strength and discouraged vulnerability. Without realizing it, you shaped yourself accordingly. Becoming what was needed made you capable. It likely gave you advantages, discipline, resilience, independence. But it may have also required suppression. Suppression of softness, of curiosity, for desires that did not align with expectations. Over time, those suppressed parts did not disappear. They waited. The cost of constantly being what is needed is subtle exhaustion. You carry responsibilities even when they are no longer yours. You anticipate problems before they occur. You struggle to relax because your identity is tied to usefulness. If you are not needed, you feel uncertain. This pattern often goes unnoticed because it looks admirable. Being dependable is praised. Being strong is respected. But when strength becomes your only acceptable mode, you lose access to balance. You may struggle to receive support, to admit confusion, to change direction without guilt. Self-discovery involves grieving the version of you that was built for survival, not because it was wrong, but because it is incomplete. You are allowed to evolve beyond who you were required to be. You are allowed to redefine strength. You are allowed to choose authenticity over constant usefulness. Many people live by external authority without realizing it. They measure success by standards they did not create. They seek validation before trusting their own instincts. They delay decisions because they fear making the wrong move in someone else's eyes. Inner authority is the ability to trust your own judgment without constant external confirmation. It does not mean ignoring advice. It means filtering it through your own values. It means recognizing that you are the one who must live with your choices. Reclaiming inner authority requires practice. You begin by noticing where you hesitate, where you over-explain, where you seek reassurance for decisions that already feel clear internally. These moments reveal how much power you have outsourced. When you strengthen inner authority, confidence changes form. It becomes quieter, less performative. You no longer need everyone to understand your choices. You focus on alignment rather than approval. And this shift reduces anxiety because your decisions are rooted in the more you act from inner authority, the more your life reflects intention. You stop reacting to expectations and start designing your direction. That clarity builds momentum. Not the frantic momentum of autopilot, but the steady momentum of alignment. Redefinition is one of the most challenging aspects of self-discovery. It requires admitting that who you were is not who you are becoming. It may require changing habits, boundaries, or even environments. It demands courage because growth is visible, and visibility invites judgment. When you redefine yourself, some people may feel uncomfortable. They were accustomed to the version of you that fit their expectations. Change disrupts predictability, but staying small to preserve comfort limits your evolution. Redefinition is not dramatic reinvention. It is gradual realignment. It shows up in small choices, saying no without guilt, pursuing interests that feel authentic, allowing yourself to be seen as multidimensional rather than fixed. This process strengthens integrity. Integrity is alignment between your internal truth and external behavior. When integrity increases, internal conflict decreases. You feel less divided, less fragmented, more cohesive. If self-discovery ultimately leads to a simple but powerful outcome, you begin living as someone you recognize, not someone you perform, not someone you were forced to become, but someone consciously chosen. And when your life reflects that choice, growth becomes natural rather than forced. Once you begin redefining yourself, a new challenge appears. Emotional honesty, not the kind you show others, but the kind you practice internally. The willingness to admit what you truly feel without immediately justifying, minimizing, or intellectualizing it. Most people are trained to manage emotions, not understand them. You learn to stay composed, to move on quickly, to remain productive. But unmanaged emotion does not disappear. It shapes decisions quietly. It influences who you trust, what you avoid, and how much you allow yourself to want. Emotional honesty requires slowing down your reactions. When something frustrates you, instead of dismissing it, you ask why. When something excites you, instead of doubting it, you explore it. When something drains you, instead of tolerating it, you question it. These small pauses create awareness. This practice builds self-trust, because the more you acknowledge your internal experience, the less you feel divided. You stop gaslighting yourself. You stop pretending something does not matter when it does. You stop calling misalignment normal. Emotional discipline is not suppression. It is regulation combined with clarity. It allows you to respond instead of react. It gives you space between stimulus and choice. And in that space, identity becomes conscious rather than conditioned. When you are emotionally honest, your boundaries become cleaner. Your desires become clearer. Your tolerance for environments that diminish you decreases. You begin to protect your energy, not out of fear, but out of respect for who you are becoming. And that respect prepares you for the final shift, the integration of everything you have uncovered. Self-discovery is not complete when you understand yourself. It is complete when you integrate that understanding into daily life. Insight without action creates frustration. Awareness without change creates tension. Integration is where clarity becomes reality. Integration looks subtle. It is choosing differently in familiar situations. It is responding calmly where you once reacted impulsively. It is declining what no longer aligns without excessive explanation. It is allowing yourself to evolve without apologizing for growth. Living consciously does not mean overanalyzing every decision. It means staying connected to your internal compass. You notice when something feels off, and you address it early. You recognize when you are slipping into old roles, and you correct gently. You treat growth as an ongoing conversation with yourself, not a destination you must reach. As integration deepens, peace replaces constant striving. You no longer feel the need to prove who you are. You no longer chase identity through achievement. You build from clarity rather than insecurity. And that shift transforms not only your decisions, but your presence. The real power of self-discovery is not dramatic transformation. It is quiet coherence. Your thoughts, actions, and values begin to align. Life feels less like something you are managing and more like something you are expressing. If this message resonated with you, do not rush to the next distraction. Sit with what stood out. Notice where you feel called to reflect or adjust. Because the journey toward alignment does not start with a perfect plan. It starts with one honest decision to live consciously.